I don't believe in ghosts, and even if I did, I wouldn't believe in the pseudoscience of ghost hunting, but I've watched enough of the Ghoul Boys and played enough Phasmophobia and Forewarned to have some familiarity with the lore and gadgets of ghost hunting, and I find it really fun. This is one of those gadgets, a spirit box, which essentially is just a handheld radio that scans through a bunch of radio channels in rapid succession, and the idea is that ghosts are energy and can use it to communicate. So if you get multiple syllables in a row that actually make sense, it's too much to be a coincidence, and it's the ghost trying to communicate with you. Once again, I think that's very silly, but because this is sampling a bunch of radio channels, it's basically a little sampler that I can just record until I get some cool little passages of sound and make some beats, which is what we're going to be doing today. So I just set the spirit box up, plugged the headphone output into my audio interface, and then just let it run, and then went and chopped out some of the good bits. So here's a quick clip of what that sounds like. And here's a different speed. And now I have gone and grabbed some of the good bits that I could potentially flip into some sort of beat, so let's jump into that next. This was surprisingly difficult to get something good out of, and you're going to hear a few of my failed attempts after I walk you through this, good attempt. So we've got the original sample. Let me get rid of the processing. There are just 3 plugins on this, intro version. First of all, I'm using Tell Filter just to, shape it a little bit. Just on the volume setting, just tightening it up a bit. Cut some lows, boost some highs. And some automation of crystalline for those reverb swells. And then we get into the drop. So let's start off with the drums. Some kicks and snares from one of Oversampled's sample packs with a bit of tuning and shaping and compression, all that kind of stuff going on here. We layer with that. Let's actually just keep building this. Some serum. So this is a modified preset, and then I've got Tell Filter just as a basic sidechain pumper. A sub of sorts. And this is being run through an amp sim altogether. And of course, this is very much meant to follow the, I hesitate to say melody, but that little, hence that little jump. Vaguely, it's following what the sample is doing. And then, of course, on top of the bass, we actually have 2 layers of the sample. So here's the one that you heard in the intro, basically untouched, other than being sidechained. And then I started stacking effects. So I added Rift, a distortion plugin. Here's one. And Infiltrator, a glitch plugin. This is the preset I am using, more or less unmodified. And it added a weird little delay, so I ended up rendering that out. You can see the little delay here. So I snapped that to the grid, processed it a little further. Layer that with the original. Made it quite a bit more aggressive and interesting. And all together, this big old wall of sound, and then some kind of acoustic drums. And this final part is fun. I've got this break that is slowed down by half. And then glitched with Infiltrator once again. To kind of hide the fact that it's been time stretched into oblivion, or even to lean into how janky it sounds. And then, this is fun. We're talking about picking up ghost sounds and ghost speech. There's a bit of a ghost in the machine in this track. If I layer these 2 tracks, I've got them soloed here. Listen for the little, all right. There is no sample of a dude saying, all right. And if I play these individually, and where did that come from? It's a little auditory illusion and appropriately spooky. Regardless, these are both infiltrated pretty heavily. This is the preset I'm using for that little kind of siren whirly thing. And for this one, I'm ramping up the mix amount for that flanger effect. So that's the good drop. Let me show you my initial attempt, which was a little jankier sounding. I had this sample that I was like positive was going to get me something good because it has this little like octave jump in it. Right there. But as it turns out, it just sounds kind of derpy. You can see I've added some processing. I've layered it a bit. More infiltrator, more rift, and that definitely helps give it some punch. And then I've layered the serum bases. This is what I started with, by the way. It just kind of sounds kind of derpy, as does this take on it with a couple of different chops. And in fact, that sounds derpier if you loop it. Behold. Like that little note jump at the end is in there, and it's like it all comes together for something that just, you know, isn't as badass as it wants to be. But this ends up, I think, being kind of cool. There's one more little beat, though, with the fast spirit box. And that ended up sounding like this, which also is a little derpy, but we're going to roll with it. So if I mute this, it just sounds like some really like foundational run-of-the-mill psytrance. So we've got this little 808 hi-hat with a bunch of processing. We've got 909 open hi-hat, a kick and bass from my $5 sample pack. And then on top of that, the sample. So let me get rid of the processing. So I like what sounds like filter LFO movement, and I wanted to build on that, and I heard that and I thought psytrance. That was like the default in my head. So first of all, I pitched it around a bit to get it to kind of fit with the bass. Almost becomes a little lead line infiltrator. Sidechain, parallel aggressor, adding some compression and distortion, bit of EQ. Super simple. I actually tried also like filtering it down on every hit to make this kind of acid bass thing, and it just sounded dumb, so I ended up not doing that. Once again, I wouldn't call this like a huge success, but like it exists and it's kind of a fun little proof of concept. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see some more beat making from weird sources, you can click or tap up over here somewhere, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. It's a death trap.
Wait, is that you? Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
What the fuck?